is the Wrestlebread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee here, and thank you for listening to episode 11 of the Wrestlebread Podcast. A lot has been happening this week. A lot has happened last week. And so let's just get into it. So starting out with some breaking news, there was an incident that happened between Bully Ray and a fan named Josh Ketch at a Ring of Honor show. So Ketch had went onto Twitter to talk about an incident that happened between Mandy Leon, Velvet Sky, and Bully Ray. First I'm going to explain the story and then I'm going to give my opinion. So he said that he was at this event at Ring of Honor, and eventually he says he boos the bad guys and he's mouthing off to the girls because they're bad guys. So allegedly he says that he said, "Boo, you're trash, get lost, no one wants you here." And eventually Ketch and Sky exchange words and Leon allegedly spits on him. Mandy Leon and Velvet Sky, who is known as Allure, they came back out at another match at Ring of Honor, and he started mouthing off to the girls again. So he says, at some point, Velvet Sky seemingly loses her cool and is challenging me to come in the ring. Tells me to suck it, calls me the P word, etc. No problem. Get your heat. She calls me a virgin. I remind her she has sex with that fat turd Bully Ray. Call them the Tramp Stamp Trio. Security takes me legit backstage. I'm still perplexed by the entire thing and honestly was very hesitant to follow them. So some security guy that came out to Ketch and said that we need to take you backstage. So he follows them into the back and he says, "What's going on? Just sit tight." "Sure, but what's up?" "Just sit tight." He said time was slowing down, but this all was happening so fast. Suddenly, Bully Ray comes out from a back room, full on gear since he was in the opening segment of the show, and he looks pissed. Much bigger than me, so I'm kind of taking a step back on this here. Security backs off, and it's just us two. He said, "Hey, I heard there was an incident tonight with you and some of the girls." Yeah, I guess. I'm so lost." So and Bully Ray says, "So here's the deal. You're done talking down to them. You need to treat them with respect. Don't be saying anything you wouldn't say to your mom. You got it?" And Ketch said, "I'm not trying to act tough." Well, he didn't say this to Bully Ray, but Ketch then explains, "I'm not trying to act tough. I was legit being intimidated with purpose, and I wasn't about to get kicked out during match 3. So I just bit the bullet and said, 'You sure? Yes, sir. Yeah. And I understand. Yup.' Bully Ray says, in a convo, go be a fan." And security had led him back to his seat. There are some people who sides with Ketch, and there are some people who sides with Bully Ray. One of the people who sides with Bully Ray was Randy Orton. After this incident came out on Twitter by Ketch, Bully Ray turned around and gave his side of the story and basically was saying that Ketch was talking down about the girls. They didn't think much of it until they found out some of the things that he was saying. And he said that he took Ketch backstage to kind of have talked to him. He said that he was being very nice, which is kind of surprising for people to know. But he said I wasn't being intimidating. He said, if I was being intimidating, why would he react the way he did backstage, basically. And basically he confirms what Ketch had said, that he was taken to the back and was left alone with Bully Ray. So my opinion on all this is that this situation is something that shouldn't even happened. We all know the reason why Bully Ray has gotten into the middle of this, because he was mouthing off to Velvet Sky, who is dating Bully Ray. Now, this could have been a lot worse. Luckily, this was just Bully Ray just talking to the fan. But it's like, what if Bully Ray lost his cool and hit the fan? What if the fan hit Bully Ray? What if the fan started mouthing off to Bully Ray? What if his Catch's friends try to go into the back to look for him? This is something that could have went a heck of a lot worse. This is what security is for. Security is there to handle situations like that. If the fan was that disrespectful to the women wrestlers, then you should have security give him a warning. Or if it was really that bad, then kick him out. So there's no video so far of the things that the fan was saying. There are people who said that they were at the show and that he was being very disrespectful. There are people who are coming out saying, I know who he is personally and he's not disrespectful. And it really doesn't matter if he's a good person. It really doesn't matter if he was being rude. He should have been kicked out by security. There should have been no incident where a wrestler should be backstage alone with a fan in that type of situation. Because there was no third party present. There was no type of mediator. Bully Ray shouldn't have got involved because he has an emotional connection with Velvet Sky. If the fan had said, yeah, whatever, and then turned around and continued mouthing off to Velvet Sky again, it would have been like, what then? What, Bully Ray would have had the right to do more to the fan? So this could have went completely south very quickly. And then, what if the fan was someone else? What if this person was 6 feet tall, whatever? Would Bully Ray had approached him then? You know, it could have ended with a fight. Or if the fan was crazy enough to try to get some type of fame or try to get some type of money out of the situation and said that Bully Ray actually hit him, it would have been he said, she said. Now, Ring of Honor is saying that they're looking into the incident to see, I guess, whether the fan should get some type of compensation maybe, or if the fan was in the complete wrong. Either way, this is something that shouldn't have happened. Another piece of news that had recently came out is that Alexa Bliss and Natalya are actually traveling with WWE to Saudi Arabia. Now, there are reports that are saying that they could possibly be wrestling at Super Showdown this Friday, and that WWE is waiting for approval for this match to happen. I highly doubt this match is going to happen because I don't know how long WWE had requested for approval from Saudi Arabia, but you have a 10-year deal with them. I think this type of detail could have been ironed out before 2 days before the event. Another piece of breaking news is Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley had a match at the New Japan Pro Wrestling Best of the Super Juniors. He went against Juice Robinson, who actually cut his locks from what I've seen. And he was looking familiar to me, and I found out by looking it up, he is actually CJ Parker from NXT back in, from 2014, I remember seeing him there. So it's really cool to see him in NJPW, having a successful career as a wrestler after WWE. So Jon Moxley was all brand new. He was wearing new attire. He was actually wearing trunks. He was wearing shorts, and on one of the legs of the trunks had barbed wire going around his thigh, which was a cool look. I actually watched this match on YouTube. This was a pretty good match. Juice Robinson and Jon Moxley really put on a good match. I mean, the match went from the ring to the first few rows of the crowd. And then there was a good spot with Juice Robinson where he jumped off the entrance onto Jon Moxley and some ring crew as well on the floor. we got to see Jon Moxley's new finisher, which is very much like Dirty Deeds, the butterfly DDT that he does, but he actually lifts up the opponent now, so now it's more of a higher angle type of butterfly DDT. It's very similar to Dirty Deeds, but it's called the Death Rider, which is a really cool name and a better name than Dirty Deeds. But Jon Moxley went on to win this match, and now he is the IWGP US Champion. And for what I read, he is the first person to have that title and the WWE United States Championship. So Jon Moxley is just killing it right now. He came off very much as the type of character that I felt as though he should have been. The mixture of Stone Cold and Brian Pillman. When Juice Robinson revealed that he had cut his signature locks, Jon Moxley went up to his face and put 2 middle fingers right on his nose. So this was a pretty good match. I'm very excited for what is in store for Jon Moxley. He will be fighting at the Fyter Fest later on this month against Joey Janela. So I will be searching all over the internet to try to catch this match. So for my weekly segment this week is about the pay-per-view, or not even pay-per-view, network special, glorified house show that is coming this Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, that WWE refuses to say. The Super Showdown. A lot of people have gone onto the social media to state that they are not watching this show. And the reasons why they're not watching the show because of Saudi Arabia and everything that they have done this past year or so, even further. So I also went on to Twitter, and originally I wasn't going to watch this event. I was going to quote unquote boycott it. But then I thought about it and I realized that it makes no sense for me to boycott this event if I'm still going to turn around and watch Raw, Smackdown, and NXT by the same company that decided to go into a deal with Saudi Arabia. So I'm going to watch it because I feel as though it kind of makes me like a hypocrite if I'm going to boycott something on the WWE network, but I'm going to tune in and put in time and money to Raw and to Smackdown and to other pay-per-view events and to buy t-shirts out of their shop. I feel like it makes no sense for me to boycott one show or 2 shows a year if I'm going to be putting in time and money for the other 363 days of the year. So I plan to go to Extreme Rules next month when it comes to Philadelphia. I'm going to be wearing a shirt. I'm going to be having the sign because I'm going to try to sit on hard camera side. One thing I will say is that they keep hyping up that this is going to be better than WrestleMania, which I don't know why they even made it that way. I mean, I guess they're trying to make it into this big spectacle because of Saudi Arabia and the events that's going on. So it's like, whatever. But I'm going to go into my predictions. So a match that has been added to Super Showdown is the Usos versus the Revival, which will be on a kickoff show, which I'm a bit confused by that this event will have a kickoff show for whatever reason. I have the Usos winning. I'm really hoping that this is a serious match and not one of the goofy matches that they've been having these past couple of weeks. If this is like a full-on, like, serious match, I would like for the Revival to win. But the fact that they are both considered Raw participants, I really don't have high expectations for this match. But if they're able to actually put on the match that they are able to produce, then this should be a really good match. Next up, we have Lars Sullivan versus the Lucha House Party 3-on-1 handicap match. Now, I am slightly offended that this match is even happening, because this is nothing more than a glorified execution, basically. It really makes no sense for the Lucha House Party to win, even though I would love for the Lucha House Party to win. We all know who's going to win this match and who is going to be showcased in this match, so that's that. Next up, we have Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley. This match really doesn't do anything for me. This is going to be the typical, powerhouse type match. I really don't expect to be wooed by anything. I don't know if Bobby Lashley has been able to do his suplex on Braun Strowman that we have seen him do with everyone else, where he's able to hold him up in the air for a long time. But I have Braun Strowman winning. This is just going to be a typical match. I actually expect this match to be short. I don't expect this match to be long at all. And I don't expect this match to really give us a lot of quality either. The next match we have is Finn Balor versus Andrade for the IC title. I would love for this to be the match of the night, because Finn Balor and Andrade will put on a good show. We have seen it on both sides. I don't know how, with this event, how this match will be treated, if this match will be short, or if this will end in some type of DQ or anything like that. There is a slight build to this match on Smackdown, but that's pretty much been like the big thing about it. I have Finn Balor retaining his title. I really don't have any title changes happening at this event, but I will explain that more in detail in a little bit. Next up, we have the 50-man Battle Royale, and this is, I don't know, they said they're going to reinforce the ring. This is going to be a hot mess. I don't really have a person emerging who would win. If Braun Strowman was in this, I would have had him winning, or if Baron Corbin was in this, I would have had him winning. But I kind of put down Elias, maybe Drew McIntyre, like who knows? They didn't even release the list of all the people who's going to be in this Battle Royale. There's rumors that Matt Riddle will be in this. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows have said they will be in this because they're traveling with the company. AJ Styles reportedly is supposed to be going overseas with the company, so more likely he'll be in this. But they didn't say what the winner is going to get for winning this battle royale. Maybe the same a title very similar to what Braun Strowman got at the Greatest Royal Rumble. But this is pretty much just so everyone can be on the payroll. I have Elias winning, I guess, but it really, I don't know. I don't know who's all in this, and it really doesn't even matter, truthfully. So next up, we have Triple H versus Randy Orton. I have Triple H winning this because for whatever reason, with the Saudi Arabia shows, the McMahons and others like to put themselves over. I'd be shocked if Randy Orton wins this. So next up, we have Roman Reigns versus Shane McMahon. I actually have Shane McMahon winning because of the last time we had an event in Saudi Arabia. Shane McMahon put himself over. I have him winning with his lackeys interfering, just very similar to what we've been seeing. By WWE logic, normally whoever is put over on the go-home show is the person who's going to lose. So technically Roman Reigns could be winning this. It would make sense for Roman Reigns to win this, especially he went through leukemia and everything. This is supposed to be the whole rise above everything. But a part of me feels though Shane McMahon's gonna win this one by interference from his quote-unquote lackeys. Next, we have Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE title. I have Kofi Kingston winning this. I have this as an actually good match. Dolph Ziggler can sell moves. He is the best seller I ever seen. Okay, so I know that a match between them two would be pretty good. Now, we haven't seen Dolph Ziggler really wrestle in a while because he's been off TV. So this may have a bit of ring rust to it, but I'm confident enough that Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler will put on a good show for all of us. Next up, we have Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin for the Universal title. We have Brock Lesnar, who has stated that he will be cashing in his briefcase on Friday. He may not cash his briefcase, but who knows? I've been saying Brock Lesnar is going to win his title back at this event, but since they now have him learning that he has a year to cash it in, but Stephanie McMahon, for whatever reason, is forcing him to cash it in, I have Brock Lesnar cashing in to get his title back. But I have Seth Rollins winning this. I really don't see any reason why Baron Corbin should be winning this match, unless Brock Lesnar interferes and causes a distraction with Seth Rollins. But I have Brock Lesnar walking away with the title Friday afternoon, I should say. And then lastly, we have the main event, which is Goldberg versus The Undertaker, a match that we should have had so many years ago, but we are getting this match now, so I guess better late than never. Okay. I have this match not lasting that long. I love The Undertaker. But it is so sad seeing how old he looks and how gassed he can be after a good 5-10 minutes of wrestling, and the fact that consistently, pretty much every time he wrestles, he has some type of injury. So I don't see this match lasting for long. Goldberg has also shown that he gets gassed after a while too. So I have this match lasting 5-10 minutes tops, but I have The Undertaker winning this. This is a match that we should have got so long ago, but now we have both men in their 50s trying to put on a main event. I really want this match to be very short, and I want this match to be good because it's very short. I feel as though the longer this match goes, worse this match could possibly get. Even though Undertaker did lose weight, he has been injured a lot these past, 5-10 years. I don't want The Undertaker's last matches to end on a bad note. So I'm hoping this is short and that he looks good during this match. Same with Goldberg, I guess. I never really was that big of a Goldberg fan. Of course, that's because I was a WWE fanatic during the Monday Night Wars. I mean, I heard about Goldberg, of course, and know about the whole damn entrance that he does and the chant and everything, and You're Next, and how he won like 2,000 times in a row. So I felt as though he was overrated, in my opinion. So say what you want, whatever. The Undertaker's winning. So now we're going to go through the recaps of what happened this week with Raw and Smackdown NXT. This week was not a good week for WWE as far as trying to put on quality TV shows. Except for NXT. NXT is an exception, of course. But for Raw and Smackdown, they both was not very good this week. So let's start off with some downs, shall we? We had, for Raw, first of all, overall for Raw, there was too many promos. I get that they need to hype up the Super Showdown that's coming this Friday, but there has been so much talking this week and last week, and we barely got any wrestling. I think for this Raw, we had, maybe 3-4 matches tops. So it's just been too much talking, too many video packages, just not enough. Just get to the wrestling, please. One of the downs for this week is just Shane McMahon. There has been too much Shane McMahon. It's starting to feel like the whole Roman Reigns thing, where Roman Reigns used to open the show, then in the middle of the show it's Roman Reigns, then at the end of the show it's Roman Reigns. It just gets very tiring of seeing Shane McMahon all the time. I understand that they have to build up this match between him and Roman Reigns, but still, there is a lot of things they could be doing in WWE versus showing Shane McMahon all the time. For example, this month, we were missing all of the tag team champions from Smackdown, from Raw, and even the women's tag team champions really didn't have that much of a showing on Smackdown this week. So, and that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about the AEW tag team division, because they have made it very dominant and very serious as well. Because of this, we're starting to get a lot of the pretty much the same tag teams. So we have Roman Reigns and the Usos versus Drew McIntyre and the Revival. So a slight difference from when Roman Reigns and the Usos teamed up last time. But overall, this is a down for me because we're getting a lot of Shane McMahon. And it's not just Shane McMahon on Raw. It is Shane McMahon on SmackDown too. And he's taking up a good portion of the show to pretty much put himself over. Another down for me for Raw is the Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley arm wrestling match. This really didn't do anything to get me excited about their match at Super Showdown. And it's just one of those instances where you really shouldn't take this match seriously. If there was maybe a different way they could have built it up, not even a promo, but kind of like similar to Brock Lesnar and John Cena, where they start attacking each other and, they're beating each other up to the point that people had to pull them away. It makes you go like, wow, Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman are really trying to, get it in with this match. But we had an arm wrestling match. We had Braun Strowman, who won the arm wrestling match. And I was calling a lot of the spots that was going on. I knew that Bobby Lashley was going to pull his arm away. He was going to try to intimidate Braun Strowman. And then Braun Strowman would win. And then Bobby Lashley would get upset and start attacking Braun Strowman, which is pretty much what happened. Bobby Lashley threw chalk into Braun Strowman's face and then started attacking him. So this really didn't do too much for the build towards Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. Another down for me, and this is something that WWE hasn't done again, is the third hour special. When Mick Foley introduced the 24/7 title, he mentioned that in the third hour of Raw, we're going to get a little, pretty much more raw or edgier. They had the lights go down. They changed the logo to Raw. And this week, I noticed that the lights were still up. The logo hasn't changed. And there really wasn't anything to make the third hour feel that much special. Like it was worth staying up for the third hour. I do notice that during the third hour, they're showing the Bray Wyatt segments more. So I guess that's one of the good things about the third hour. But there really hasn't been that much of a different change or feel to the third hour that they were advertising. They either forgot about it or they just don't want to do it at all. But we'll see what happens next Monday to see if they bring the third hour special back again. So for the ups for Raw, of course, I have to talk about the Firefly Funhouse. We had Bray Wyatt talked about exercise, and we had Husky the Pig, who of course is a playback to Bray Wyatt when he was in NXT. We also had the Vince McMahon puppet with the devil ears, and it sounded like Bray Wyatt voiced that puppet as well, which is really cool. Then we had Bray Wyatt, who broke out the Muscle Man dance. And I kind of cringed a little. I mean, it was really awesome. There's a new t-shirt that said Wyatt Gym. And I actually enjoyed the song when I first watched it. But then I thought about it and I was like, this feels like a bit of a setup now. That if we sit here and enjoy the song and, the light mood that Bray Wyatt had, of course, until he had the one line in the song where he just went straight serious. I'm hoping that the creative process of WWE does not take this episode of the Firefly Funhouse the wrong way. and start having Bray Wyatt do a bunch of comedy segments. Because even though Firefly Funhouse has the comedy and the lightness, because you have Bray Wyatt, who's kind of like Mr. Rogers' character, it still has that very dark undertone. It really displays that Bray Wyatt is dealing with pretty much like a split personality, because he has who is now known as the Fiend running around in his head as a way for him to feel better about himself, to have confidence, and to be able to control both sides of himself. So I'm hoping that WWE doesn't screw this up. I'm still interested on how this will translate to the ring, how Bray Wyatt is going to play both characters once he's outside of the Firefly Funhouse. And another thing we're also wondering too is with Aleister Black. Aleister Black had it was a pretty good promo, but the context of it didn't make any sense to me, because he is waiting for someone to quote unquote knock on his door and come to fight him. But I'm feeling like you've been on the main roster for a while, so you've been fighting a bunch of people. Hey, you should go out and find someone to fight yourself. Hell, even come around and just start randomly beat up people. Who knows? I'm hoping this leads to a very interesting feud, and that Aleister Black will be able to shine as a singles wrestler. He definitely showed a lot of potential when he was teaming up with Ricochet, but of course, both wrestlers are really very good on their own. Another up that we had was Ricochet versus Cesaro. Of course, Ricochet and Cesaro can fight forever because their matches were pretty good. This match was cut slightly short because Cesaro went under the ring to grab a table, and R-Truth, the glorious 24/7 champion, was laying on the table hiding under the ring. The match was over, but Ricochet and Cesaro can really put on a match. I mean, we all know about Ricochet and we all know about Cesaro, so I'm very happy that these two are feuding right now. Even if there's really no storyline to this, that this is just simply Ricochet and Cesaro fighting each other and putting the display of what wrestling matches can really look like. We had The Undertaker, who came out to deliver a message to Goldberg. Very weird. I hate the way that they do their edits and commercials and things like that. The Undertaker was cutting a promo towards the end of Raw, and it looked like he got cut off, which he actually did. He didn't get to finish his full sentence. But it's very cool to see The Undertaker. I will always mark out for The Undertaker. It's just the sad thing is that you can really see clearly that he is getting old and time is not on his side. I still hope that he has a good match against Goldberg later on this week, but time is really catching up on him, and it's very sad to see, because it's sad to see your favorites, getting to the end of the road where they are going to have to retire sooner or later. I'm sure people felt that way with Shawn Michaels. I know I felt that way with Shawn Michaels. You felt that way with a lot of wrestlers who have gone to retire and even passed away. And now we have to make room for this new generation of wrestlers. So now we're going on to Smackdown. And I must say, I really do not like this wild card rule. And I knew from the get-go when they announced this wild card rule that this would mean that SmackDown will feel just like Raw, because we have a lot of Raw superstars that will appear. And because we have Raw superstars that are appearing, we will get the whole let's put over Raw superstars on SmackDown as well. So downs for SmackDown this week. Again, we have more Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon promising to neuter Roman Reigns, which made no sense to me. But again, like I said for Raw, he is taking up a spot of someone who could potentially have a good match on Smackdown. We didn't really get the women's tag team titles to really mean anything this week. We didn't get to see the Kabuki Warriors. It's a lot of segments that have missed out on because we're getting 10-15 minutes of Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon, I believe it was on Raw, where he did the spear on Roman Reigns, and then he caught himself trying to mock Roman Reigns by doing that little ooh-rah that Roman Reigns do. But the way that Shane McMahon does, and the fact that he sweats a hell of a lot, it kind of came off like he was very constipated and he was trying to pass gas really badly. So I think Shane McMahon really shouldn't make those type of faces ever again in his life. Another down is we had Lars Sullivan, who came out to have an exclusive interview, and it was a really dumb promo. He mentioned how all his life he's been called a freak, and went on to say that his function in life is to show that life isn't all about rainbows and sunshine. It just didn't make any type of sense. And thank you to Jon Moxley for opening our eyes of how the creative process really works, as we pretty much expected would have happened. That, as we pretty much expected, happens backstage with Vince McMahon wanting to take full control of the creative process. The promo that they had Lars Sullivan cut wasn't really, it did nothing for me. Put aside the fact that Lars Sullivan is a scumbag for the comments that he has made. The fact that he was trying to do this whole nursery rhyme and all my life I've been called a freak angle makes no sense at all. I don't know. They shouldn't have had him say anything. They should have had him, get all scary and intimidating, and then the interview ends. But I knew as soon as they actually was going to interview him that it probably would have been downhill for his character now. Another down that we had is the actual moment of bliss with Bayley, Carmella, and Charlotte Flair. Now, because of the wild card rule, we have these weird instances where the storyline isn't making any type of sense. So on Raw this week, we had Alexa Bliss, who actually turned face when her coffee got spilled purposely by the Iconics. But 24 hours later on Smackdown, she is now a heel again. She wants to challenge Bayley for the title. So I was just completely confused. And then we had Carmella come out, and then Charlotte comes out, and they announced that they're going to have a triple threat match later on that night. So enough about the bad things. Let's talk about the good things. Let's start on some power of positivity here. The Kofi Kingston promo he made against Dolph Ziggler was golden. I am so happy that Kofi Kingston gets his time to shine, and I'm also very happy that not only he got his time to shine, but he is being built as a very good champion. And that's something that I really didn't have high hopes for, that he would be made as a credible champion, a defending champion. I thought that they were going to have him win the title and then have him lose the title like within 2 to 3 weeks. I'm glad that not only they not having him lose the title, but they actually have him defending it and having very good matches defending his title. Next, we had Goldberg and The Undertaker meeting face to face. I had that as an up because it was an interaction that we wish we could have seen back when they were both in their prime. But this is what we get, and this is what we are going to have. It was a cool little moment where Undertaker did his little mind games, and the lights went off, and the lights went back on, and he was standing behind Goldberg, and then Goldberg turns around and is laughing hysterically. Oh, to me that was a cool moment. That was a cool little, Undertaker trying to pull a little psychology on Goldberg, and Goldberg sitting there like not really buying it like that. Another up that I had is the actual match between Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Charlotte Flair. This was actually a pretty good match on Smackdown. I'm hoping that I don't like the fact that we have now a Raw superstar going after the Smackdown title. I know you're going to say, well, what about when Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey was going after the Raw Women's title? Well, with that segment, with that whole situation, that was them going after Ronda Rousey. It's not the same thing. And also, too, about Goldberg, it really sucks to see him do his entrance without any pyro. The pyro for his entrance really makes it shine. So other things that happened during SmackDown is the 24/7 title lumberjack match between R-Truth and Elias. R-Truth is gold with this 24/7 title. He has now won the title 3 times, so he's basically turning into the new Crash Holly. But we had the lumberjack match where they cannot interfere until after the match is over. And then once the match is over, they started to climb into the ring to start attacking Elias, who actually won the 24/7 title at that time. We had the spot where R-Truth and Elias had battled under the ring. And then R-Truth covers Elias for the 3 count. And you didn't really get to see it until they posted it on their social media. So, a slightly backwards. I had wished that if you're going to have a title change on live TV, you should already have the camera under there and just switch to underneath the ring. So that's the overview of Raw and SmackDown. So now let's get to NXT. I'm going to quickly go over NXT Takeover, which was really good. And I got all 5 of my predictions correct. Matt Riddle had defeated Roderick Strong. We also had the Street Profits, who won the Tag Team Championships in the Fatal 4-Way Ladder match, which was a great match. All 4 teams had their time to shine. Kyle O'Reilly for the MVP. I mean, damn, if you haven't seen the way his back looked, it is not easy to stomach. There was a spot where Kyle O'Reilly had fell on top of a ladder, and you immediately knew that crap hurt. And it looked like he may have lost teeth, but I don't think that happened. But he grabbed at his mouth during a spot. I think he hit his mouth on the ladder, maybe bit his lip or something like that. Because then you see his mouth started to bleed a little bit, and then there was a part where he spit out something, and it looked like it was teeth, but maybe it wasn't. It could have been possible that he may have either had gum in his mouth, or he already had implants. So still, it was a really good match. I'm glad to see the Street Profits won. But this was a really good match. We had Jackson Riker, of course, who interfered, and it was a good spot, and it made sense for everyone to team up together to take out Riker and to pretty much even up the match. Next, we had Shayna Baszler, who defeated Io Shirai, and she retained the women's title. We had Candice LeRae, who helped out Shirai as well. The other two horsewomen, I know it's Jasmine, and I forgot the other woman's name. They came out during the match, and then you see Candice LeRae, who came out with a kendo stick and took down the other two horsewomen. So after the match, Io had snapped and started attacking Baszler with the kendo stick and did a moonsault with a steel chair. So love to see the next chapter of this feud. Next up, we had Velveteen Dream, who defeated Tyler Breeze to retain the North American Championship. I was surprised that this wasn't exactly the match of the night. There were two other matches that I will put before this one, but there was a good spot where Velveteen Dream took a selfie with Tyler Breeze's phone and on the announcer's table, and you see Tyler Breeze out of it with Velveteen Dream smiling with his North American championship there. A lot of respect for both men. This was a decent match, but it wasn't the match that I thought it would live up to. So finally, we had Adam Cole, baby, who defeated Johnny Gargano to win the NXT Championship. This was a great match. This had me at the edge of my seat. This was a lot of near falls, a lot of super kicks, a lot of back and forth. I was rooting for Adam Cole. This may turn into another feud with Johnny Gargano, or we may get a new contender. Maybe we'll see Adam Cole versus Matt Riddle, or we'll see him go against Kushida. All in all, this was a very good NXT takeover. So now let's go to NXT TV, where most of the show was recaps over what happened at NXT Takeover. But we still had two matches during the TV show. We had Keith Lee versus Kona Reeves. Now, this was a very powerful match. A lot of power moves by Keith Lee and a little bit of offense by Kona Reeves as well. Keith Lee won the match, but I'm not exactly fully brought into the character of Reeves. He has improved when I last saw him a while ago. I feel as though he needs to be more of a douchebag. I don't know, his character doesn't really scream like overconfidence to me. Well, hopefully he'll improve over time, especially working with people like Keith Lee, and as he's learning more backstage of what his character will be, but I'm not fully brought into his character yet. The second match we had was Mia Yim versus Bianca Belair. And this was a very good match. This feud has been very good. I'm happy that Bianca Belair is working with Mia Yim. Bianca has definitely improved over these past year or so. There was a spot where it felt like Mia almost died. There was a suplex that was done, a German suplex, and it looked like Mia landed on her neck. It was a little bit disturbing to see, but Mia Yim was okay. Even though Bianca lost, she still looked very strong in this match. And it seems like they're going to set up Mia Yim to get a title shot against Shayna. I don't know what they're going to do with Bianca Belair. Maybe she'll go against Candice LeRae. I feel like a feud between them two would probably pan out well. All in all, I'm very happy with the NXT TV and the NXT Takeover this week as well. We have the Super Showdown coming up this Friday. I will catch it Friday night. Next week, you'll hear me give a review over the Super Showdown and also a review of everything that happened in Raw, Smackdown, NXT, and AEW. AEW is preparing for their next event, which is at the Fighter Fest later on this month. They did release a YouTube video on the Nightmare Family YouTube channel of the road to Fighter Fest. And a big portion of that video was Jon Moxley cutting a very good promo against Joey Janela. I'm very excited for this match. I was introduced to Joey Janela during the Casino Battle Royale, so that's it for the Wrestlebread podcast. Be sure to hop on Twitter and follow me at Jaydee Talks. That's JAYDEE Talks. And be sure to follow the podcast at Wrestlebread as well. Be sure to leave a review and let me know your thoughts. Let me know what things you like for me to talk about. And let's start with my shout outs. Shout out to Julian and Rob Bass from the Wrestling Court podcast and AlternativeMinds.com. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel of Alternative Minds as well. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show, Chris from We Talk Next podcast, and Chris from Rufus Rewind. Be sure to catch me next week for episode 12 of the podcast. Like I said, I'll be reviewing Super Showdown and everything that's going down that week. We don't really have... This past couple of weeks, it's been a lot of wrestling events. Stomping Grounds coming up in 2 weeks. And then the weekend after that, we have Fyter Fest. So, a lot more wrestling coming our way. I'm very happy that AEW's in this mix because now it's just a lot of excitement for wrestling. Be sure to catch me next week, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Wrestlebread podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below on what you thought of the episode this week. If you enjoyed what I said this week in the podcast, then check me out on Twitter and also follow the podcast. Until next time, guys, peace.